Thank you very much, Dr. Shirish, for inviting me. And I think every year this is a very interesting IC which covers pterygium very comprehensively. So what I'll be talking on is on decision making when you have a cataract with a pterygium on simultaneous versus sequential surgery. So I think my video has been stopped by the host.
Okay.
So as we see the prevalence of pterygium, it's a range from 6.3 to 16% with a higher prevalence in the rural places. And this incidence increases with age and geographic latitude. Similarly, cataract is also a common age-related condition seen in these age groups, and exposure to sunlight and ultraviolet B rays is common to both the diseases. So when we take a decision on whether to do it sequential or simultaneously, factors which prefer more for sequential surgery, these include the size and the location of pterygium, if it is more than 3 millimeters in size, a pterygium which is encroaching the visual axis, or in cases of double-headed pterygium where you have nasal and temporal tissue, distortion of the Myers on keratometry, if you're not able to get a good corneal reading, or if you have a topography, you can get a topographic scan done, and if you see the anterior surface having an irregular astigmatism. Other factors include a significant cylinder warranting a toric IOL. You would not combine it in a simultaneous surgery. Or in some cases where the patient is very keen on a presbyopic correcting IOL, this may sometimes be a two-step procedure where you remove the pterygium first, regularize the surface with a surface ablation, and then go for a multifocal toric lens. The depth of involvement is important, and in cases with recurrent pterygia where you're going to use mitomycin C, better to go for a sequential surgery, and patients having recurrent ocular surface issues. The advantages in sequential surgery is you can address each problem individually with at least a 6-week interval in between. This allows the corneal wound healing to be complete, and your postoperative steroid regimen and others, which you normally give after cataract surgery, would not interfere with the wound healing. You also get a good astigmatic stability, especially if you're considering a toric IOL where you have to estimate the axis of the cylinder and the magnitude, and you get a healthy ocular surface. 6 weeks post the pterygium removal, you go in for the cataract surgery. Prediction of IOL power is also important, and we know that the pterygium induces a flattening, and this causes a with the rule astigmatism. So if you want an accurate prediction of the IOL power and you're going for the premium lenses, it's better to go for a sequential surgery. And this can assure a patient with a good refractive outcome. So in this case, we can clearly see that the nasal pterygium is encroaching onto the visual axis. It's quite a thick, fleshy pterygium, and is correspondingly also affecting the topography with a flattening in that axis and a steepening vertically. This is a relatively thin pterygium, but it's encroaching much centrally into the visual axis and thereby causing a distortion of the Myers. And in both these cases, it is inevitable that you would go for a pterygium surgery first and then follow it later by the cataract surgery. Predictability of lens power, there are several calculations available, and various authors have been even tried to predict what change can be anticipated post-pterygium surgery, but however, you cannot be too accurate with this. The greater the pterygium or the larger the pterygium, especially more than 3 millimeters in size, there will be a greater change in the mean keratometry, and more the change in mean keratometry, your prediction errors are also likely to be higher. In this article, they had 60 cases studied, and although they said that simultaneous surgery was safe and effective, the accuracy was moderately predictable, and this occurs because of the myopic shift which occurs post-operatively, resulting from the steepening of the cornea after removal of the pterygium. Here, 48% of patients were within 0.5 diopters plus or minus, and 82% were within plus or minus 1 diopter post-surgery. Sequential surgery is considered, especially when there are practical constraints, especially in rural areas, in camp surgeries, in daily wage earners, because of loss of income due to hospitalization and delayed recovery. The indications would include a relatively smaller pterygium, presence of limbal delin, tear film disturbances. You're having a relatively clear visual axis, so you get a good keratometric reading. A superficial pterygium, patient is opting only for a monofocal intraocular lens, and you're having a good follow-up in the immediate post-operative period. This is a case in which you had a small peripheral pterygium not interfering much with the visual axis, and you can go for a simultaneous surgery combining both the pterygium and the cataract removal. So I'll just share a small video. This is thanks to Dr. Shirish. And here again, when you're going for a simultaneous surgery, better to avoid small incision surgery. Whether to go for a phacoemulsification, capsular staining does help in achieving a good rhexis, especially if the pterygium is obstructing the view. Then you go ahead with the phacoemulsification and placement of intraocular lens. Here, the one point I would defer is stripping off the pterygium for the corneal head. I would prefer to do prior to starting the cataract surgery. And after taking a good superior conjunctival autograft, Dr. Ilan has emphasized on a very clear dissection and followed by placement of the autograft onto the base sclera using fibrin glue. Avoid a side port in the area of the epithelial defect, and in several cases we've seen a side port in the area of the epithelial defect where the pterygium is removed. That results in irregular healing and possibility of secondary infection. We've seen cases of secondary fungal infection of the cornea because post-cataract surgery, you're going to have the patient on topical steroids, and this will promote bacterial and fungal infections in the eye. Avoid using MMC, and hence recurrent pterygium should not be done in a simultaneous surgery. Postoperative guidelines in these cases would be patch the eye, a good antibiotic cover postoperatively, use steroids in moderation, completely avoid non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, especially in the first week postoperatively. Lubricants would be used as necessary to facilitate corneal wound healing, and follow up till the epithelial defect has healed. Thank you very much.